be upon him. When you perform a ziyarah, you can perform that ziyarah on behalf of yourself and anyone else you wish to. You can say, I perform this ziyarah on behalf of the Ahlul Bayt. I perform this ziyarah on behalf of Imam al-Mahdi, peace be upon him. Imam Hassan al-Askari, when asked, he says, you could just say, I perform this ziyarah on behalf of everyone who lives in my hometown, and Allah will accept it from you, and He will accept it from all of them as well. So we perform ziyarat Ashura on behalf of ourselves, our parents, our loved ones, our neighbors, those whom we've lost, and most importantly of all, we perform ziyarat Ashura on behalf of our leader, Imam al-Mahdi, peace be upon him. Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ali Muhammad. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Assalamu alayka ya Aba Abdillah. Assalamu alayka ya ibn Rasulillah. السلام عليك يا خيرة الله وابن خيرته. السلام عليك يا ابن أمير المؤمنين وابن سيد الوصيين. السلام عليك يا ابن فاطمة سيدة نساء العالمين. السلام عليك يا ثار الله وابن ثاره والوتر الموتور. السلام عليك وعلى الأرواح التي حلت بفنائك. عليكم مني جميعا سلام الله أبدا ما بقيت وبقي الليل والنهار. يا أبا عبد الله، لقد عظمت الرزية وجلت وعظمت المصيبة بك علينا وعلى جميع أهل الإسلام، وجلت وعظمت مصيبتك في السماوات على جميع أهل السماوات. فلعن الله أمة أسست أساس الظلم والجور عليكم أهل البيت، ولعن الله أمة دفعتكم عن مقامكم وأزالتكم عن مراتبكم التي رتبكم الله فيها، ولعن الله أمة قتلتكم، ولعن الله الممهدين لهم بالتمكين من قتالكم. برئت إلى الله وإليكم منهم ومن أشياعهم وأتباعهم وأوليائهم. يا أبا عبد الله، إني سلم لمن سالمكم وحرب لمن حاربكم وولي وحرب لمن حاربكم إلى يوم القيامة. ولعن الله آل زياد وآل مروان، ولعن الله بني أمية قاطبة، ولعن الله ابن مرجانة، ولعن الله عمر بن سعد، ولعن الله شمرا، ولعن الله أمة أسرجت وألجمت وتنقبت لقتالك. بأبي أنت وأمي لقد عظم مصابي بك، فأسأل الله الذي أكرم مقامك وأكرمني بك أن يرزقني طلب ثارك مع إمام منصور من أهل بيت محمد صلى الله عليه وآله. اللهم اجعلني عندك وجيها بالحسين عليه السلام في الدنيا والآخرة. يا أبا عبد الله، إني أتقرب إلى الله وإلى رسوله وإلى أمير المؤمنين وإلى فاطمة وإلى الحسن وإليك بموالاتك وبالبراءة ممن قاتلك ونصب لك الحرب، وبالبراءة ممن أسس أساس الظلم والجور عليكم، وأبرأوا إلى الله وإلى رسوله ممن أسس أساس ذلك وبنى عليه بنيانا وجرى في ظلمه وجوره عليكم وعلى أشياعكم. برئت إلى الله وإليكم منهم، وأتقرب إلى الله ثم إليكم بموالاتكم وموالاة وليكم، وبالبراءة من أعدائكم والناصبين لكم الحرب، وبالبراءة من أشياعهم وأتباعهم. إني سلم لمن سالمكم وحرب لمن حاربكم، وولي لمن والاكم وعدو لمن عاداكم. فأسأل الله الذي أكرمني بمعرفتكم ومعرفة أوليائكم ورزقني البراءة من أعدائكم أن يجعلني معكم في الدنيا والآخرة، وأن يثبت لي عندكم قدم صدق في الدنيا والآخرة. وأسأله أن يبلغني المقام المحمود لكم عند الله، وأن يرزقني طلب ثاري مع إمام هدى ظاهر ناطق بالحق منكم. وأسأل الله بحقكم وبالشأن الذي لكم عنده أن يعطيني بمصابه بكم أفضل ما يعطي مصابا بمصيبته، مصيبة ما أعظمها وأعظم رزيتها في الإسلام وفي جميع السماوات والأرض. اللهم اجعلني في مقامي هذا ممن تناله منك صلوات ورحمة ومغفرة. اللهم اجعل محياي محيا محمد وآل محمد، ومماتي ممات محمد وآل محمد. اللهم إن هذا يوم تبركت به بنو أمية وابن آكلة الأكباد اللعين ابن اللعين، على لسانك ولسان نبيك صلى الله عليه وآله في كل موطن وموقف وقفا فيه نبيك صلى الله عليه وآله. اللهم لعن أبا سفيان ومعاوية ويزيد بن معاوية، عليهم منك اللعنة أبد الآبدين. وهذا يوم فرحت به آل زياد وآل مروان بقتلهم الحسين صلوات الله عليه. اللهم فضاعف عليهم اللعن منك والعذاب الأليم. اللهم إني أتقرب إليك في هذا اليوم وفي موقفي هذا وأيام حياتي بالبراءة منهم واللعنة عليهم وبالموالاة لنبيك وآل نبيك عليه وعليهم السلام. اللهم لعن أول ظالم ظلم حق محمد وآل محمد وآخر تابع له على ذلك. اللهم لعن العصابة التي جاهدت الحسين وشايعت وبايعت وتابعت على قتله. اللهم لعنهم جميعا 100 مرة. السلام عليك يا أبا عبد الله وعلى الأرواح التي حلت بفنائك. عليك مني سلام الله أبدا ما بقيت وبقي الليل والنهار، ولا جعله الله آخر العهد مني لزيارتكم. السلام على الحسين وعلى علي بن الحسين وعلى أولاد الحسين وعلى أصحاب الحسين 100 مرة. اللهم خص أنت أول ظالم باللعن مني، وابدأ به أولا ثم الثانية والثالثة والرابع. اللهم لعن يزيد خامسا، ولعن عبيد الله بن زياد وابن مرجانة وعمر بن سعد وشمرا وآل أبي سفيان وآل زياد وآل مروان إلى يوم القيامة. Now place your foreheads on the ground for sujood, and we will recite the final dua. اللهم لك الحمد حمد الشاكرين، لك على مصابهم، الحمد لله على عظيم رزيتي. اللهم ارزقني شفاعة الحسين يوم الورود، وثبت لي قدم صدق عندك مع الحسين وأصحاب الحسين الذين بذلوا مهجهم دون الحسين عليه السلام. صلوات على محمد وآل محمد.
Assalamu alaikum, everybody. Welcome to the night of the 3rd of Muharram, and also the 3rd part of the lecture series by Sayyid Shaan Rizvi. As always, we're going to start with the Quran. So inshallah, we're going to invite up Brother Taha Chawla to enlighten us with the Quran with a loud salawat.
Another salawat, please. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. ياسين والقرآن الحكيم إنك إنك لمن المرسلين على صراط مستقيم تنزيل العزيز الرحيم لتنذر قوما ما أنذر آباؤهم فهم غافلون لقد حق القول على أكثرهم فهم لا يؤمنون إنا جعلنا في أعناقهم أغلالا فهي إلى الأذقان فهم مقمحون وجعلنا من بين أيديهم سدا ومن خلفهم سدا فأغشيناهم فهم لا يبصرون وسواء عليهم أأنذرتهم أم لم تنذرهم لا يؤمنون إنما تنذر من اتبع الذكر وخشي الرحمن بالغيب فبشره بمغفرة وأجر كريم إنا نحن نحيي الموتى ونكتب ما قدموا وآثارهم وكل شيء أحصيناه في إمام مبين واضرب لهم مثلا أصحاب القرية إذ جاءها المرسلون إذ أرسلنا إليهم اثنين فكذبوهما فعززنا بثالث فقالوا إنا إليكم مرسلون صدق الله العلي العظيم. And now I will recite the English translation. Yasin, by the wise Quran, indeed you, O Muhammad, are from among the messengers, on a straight path. This is a revelation of the Exalted in Might, the Merciful, that you may warn a people whose forefathers were not warned, so they are unaware. Already the word has come into effect upon most of them, so they do not believe. Indeed, we have put shackles on their necks, and they are to their chins, so they are with heads kept aloft. And we have put before them a barrier, and behind them a barrier, and covered them, so they do not see. And it is all the same for them whether you warn them or do not warn them. They will not believe. You can only warn one who follows the message and fears the most merciful unseen. So give him good tidings of forgiveness and noble reward. Indeed, it is we who bring the dead to life and record what they have put forth and what they have left behind. And all things we have enumerated in a clear register. Salawat.
Let's send one more loud salawat for that recitation. As we commemorate the tragedy of Karbala, those helping us tonight as sponsors to do so are the families of Sister Zahra Sarrafi and Sister Hamida Razavi. I'd request that we recite a Fatiha for their marhumin as well as the marhumin of all those here. So yesterday we mentioned that there's a new initiative that perhaps many of you may know of, an effort to limit the amount of water and plastic bottles that are often used during these nights. So what everyone is being requested to do is to bring pre-filled bottles or pre-filled containers or whatever you have, and there are within each of these halls areas for them, dispensers that allow you to fill those pre-filled bottles up instead of having plastic bottles that are used in small amounts and then thrown out later on. So that is the goal for these next several nights. So please remember to do that, and it will be something that we can benefit both ourselves and the community overall, inshallah. Next up, I would like to invite Sister Salaha Akil to recite a poem in commemoration of this tragedy. Salawat.
Assalamu alaikum, everyone. So I'm going to be doing a poem that incorporates lines from a Negro spiritual. The lines go, and before I'd be a slave, I'd be buried in my grave and go home to my Lord and be free. I think of Hud and all we can learn from his story. How his name is free, but he was not so until the day he died. Until he chose a path he knew would lead him to sharp blade and bloodshed. I wonder about this sometimes. How freedom has always been elusive, hard to achieve, and even harder to define. How Black people in this nation have fought for it for centuries. How we are still fighting. How maybe we will not know freedom until we meet God. There is a strange comfort in that. Because oppressors are too content with their tyranny to ever contemplate reform, so we trust that we will find freedom somewhere. But I wonder if I should name my son Hud, and before I'd be a slave. Name him free and dream him so. Name him free and teach him how to find it. How freedom lives down the same road as heaven. How heaven lives down the same road as prayer and protest, unrest and standing for a cause. How Hud left his army to fight a battle he couldn't win. How he won because he kept fighting. I will tell my son of how a fight for his life and his right to breathe is a fight for us, is a fight for God. I'd be buried in my grave. How they don't have to agree. How he only needs to keep fighting. He will know that he has a right to two things, liberty and death, and maybe it takes one to find the other, but maybe it doesn't. And we know the story of Hud, and two, we know the story of Harriet, and we know not what freedom looks like, but maybe, like Hud, we can learn, and go home to my Lord and be free. Thank you.
One more loud salawat. Next, Brother Muhammad Ibrahim is going to, inshallah, come up and provide a salam in commemoration of this tragedy. Salawat.
Salawat. Father Hussein, Father Hussein, your sacrifice you gave, your legacy will remain. Father Hussein, I call out your name. Oh, this sorrow and pain, it will always remain. Father Hussein, we will tell them all the battle you fought. The story will unfold. Father Hussein, Father Hussein, your sacrifice you gave, your legacy will remain. Father Hussein, rescue me, tend to my wounds. I've lost my dignity. Father Hussein, they tore my earrings from me. I was slapped and bruised, suffocated with grief. Father Hussein, Father Hussein, your sacrifice you gave, your legacy will remain. Father Hussein, I call out to you, and take my brothers too. This pain I cannot take. Father Hussein, they heard my cries echo through the night. No one's by my side. Father Hussein, Father Hussein, your sacrifice you gave, your legacy will remain. Father Hussein, I slept on your chest and stroked your head. Then you took your last breath. Father Hussein, my time is near as the darkness prevails to see you again. Father Hussein, Father Hussein, your sacrifice you gave, your legacy will remain. Father Hussein, where is Ghazi Abbas? Where is my warrior, carrier of water? Father Hussein, please let me sleep and take my last heartbeat for you to hold me. Father Hussein, Father Hussein, your sacrifice you gave, your legacy will remain. Father Hussein, Father Hussein, as I close my eyes, you are by my side. Father Hussein, hold me so tight, oh so tight. Father Hussein, salawat.
Thank you for those beautiful recitations and poems. Let's send one more loud salawat for all those who recited. Inshallah, next we're going to have the continuation of the last 2 nights' lecture by our respected scholar. I know I've benefited a great amount. Yesterday's discussion on infaq, both material and financial and non-financial, as well as, for me, what resonated was the idea that oftentimes we think of it as providing a certain amount when we have the material ability to do so, but the concept of ithar and thinking about it in terms of giving when we're in dire straits ourselves was something that really resonated with me. So inshallah, we can benefit with our respected scholar, Sayyid Shaan Rizvi, with a loud salawat.
For the marhumin of today's, sponsors of today's Majlis, please recite a Surah Al-Mubarak al-Fatiha. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين بارئ الخلائق أجمعين فاطر السماوات والأرضين والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا ونبينا وحبيب قلوبنا وطبيب نفوسنا أبي القاسم المصطفى محمد وعلى أهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين المظلومين الذين أذهب الله عنهم الرجس وطهرهم تطهيرا ولعنة الدائمة على أعدائهم أجمعين من الآن إلى قيام يوم الدين رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي أما بعد فقال الله سبحانه وتعالى في كتابه المبين بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم فاتقوا الله وأصلحوا ذات بينكم وأطيعوا الله ورسوله إن كنتم مؤمنين إنما المؤمنون الذين إذا ذكر الله وجلت قلوبهم وإذا تليت عليهم آياته زادتهم إيمانا وعلى ربهم يتوكلون الذين يقيمون الصلاة ومما رزقناهم ينفقون صدق الله العلي العظيم. Dear brothers, sisters in Islam, Iman, Salamun alaikum, Jami'an wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Inshallah, we'd like to begin dedicating the Majlis to soul of Hazrat Zahra, Salamullahi alayha, by giving her condolences and also condolences to the Imam of our time, as well as all of the righteous Maraji, all of the righteous ulama, and all the mu'mineen here and all across the world. The discussion we were having is about the nature of Iman, right? What is the nature of faith? What is the nature of to be a mu'min, right? To be a mu'min. And we said a few things already. We established that faith is not the same as just being Muslim, right? Yesterday we established that faith is not just loving somebody, right? Because if that was the case, then we have examples of people who recognized the Imam, right? But they opposed him. So we wouldn't say that they're mu'min. It's not just even recognizing the spiritual maqam of somebody. Because if that was the case, then even Muawiyah would recognize the maqam of the Prophet, right? Muawiyah wasn't a mu'min, right? Rather, what we said is that faith is when you know something, you've learned something, you've accepted it, and then you act according to what that faith demands you to act on, right? What's another word we can use for faith? Commitment, right? Commitment. When you commit yourself to a certain set of ideas, a set of principles, a set of beliefs, right? And that commitment is coupled with action, right? That is faith. And that is Iman, right? So if we were to take a simpler example, if you think about marriage, right? And some people will say, Maulana shouldn't talk about marriage during these days of Azah, and don't worry, I won't spend a lot of time on it, but just a small example, right? Marriage isn't just, right, when you tie the knot, right? It's not just saying to your spouse, I love you, right? If that was it, then our job would be easy, right? No, marriage is it's a commitment that you enter into to uphold a certain lifestyle and to treat another person a certain way and to move in a certain direction, right? On both sides, both for a husband and for a wife. It is a commitment, right? Iman is like this. When we are committed to something and we act in that direction, that is Iman. Okay? Yesterday we talked about one of the values of those who are mu'min. الَّذِينَ يُنْفِقُونَ وَمِمَّا رَزَقْنَاهُمْ يُنْفِقُونَ. From what Allah has given them, they do infaq, right? They give, they share, right? And we talked about sadaqah and zakat as an introduction, that sadaqah and zakat are a broad concept that refer to any type of giving, right? This idea comes a lot in the Quran where it says, Alladina, those who pray, right? And those who give zakat, right? Those who pray and those who give zakat. Right? Is that idea referring just to those people who give a certain part of their wealth? Right? Is it saying those who give 2.5% of their wealth every year, for example? Is it saying those who just pay a certain amount of tax on gold coins, for example? No. Right? The Mufassirin are saying that zakat is any type of giving. Right? These verses are referring to any type of giving. And we said that there's levels of giving, as the brother pointed out before me. Right? One level is when you're giving when nothing is difficult for you. And that's good, alhamdulillah. Another level of giving, which is ithar, is when you're giving something when it's difficult for you, right? When you financially don't have the means to give and you're still giving something. Okay? And we talked about how that purifies a person. Then we talked about infaq, right? Infaq is what? Infaq is spending where there's a need, not just any type of spending. Right? Looking around your society, where is the biggest need? What are the gaps we can fill? Right? What are the gaps we want our children to fill? Right? Do we need in our Shia community right now, right? Do we need more people with money? Right? Maybe we do. Maybe somebody could make that argument. Do we need people going into fields that are underserved? Right? Do we need people going into counseling? Do we need people going into therapy? Right? Do we need people going into different fields where they can serve not only our community, but the broader community as well? Right? The broader community as well. Right? So infaq is spending where there's a need. And we talked about that the reason that you have been given this wealth, you have been earning, right, is so that you spend it in the way of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Right? You spend in the way of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The very purpose of you earning that wealth is so you're giving it back in that same cause. Right? You're giving it back in that same cause. Right? Sometimes we get our wealth and we don't want to spend it for ziyarah. We don't want to take our families on Hajj. These are very expensive things. My latest information is that Hajj was $15,000 this year. Right? I don't know if that's correct. That's a lot of money for a family to spend. Right? But the purpose we are getting this wealth is so that you're using it. The purpose that Allah has put you in this position to earn in this part of the world is so that you're also giving that back in Allah's way. Right? That was the entire purpose. If you are just holding on to it for a day that never comes, that wasn't the purpose of you earning to begin with. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Okay, so I want to give a few follow-up points because I think this discussion of sadaqah, giving, is important, right? And there was a limited amount of time yesterday, and I think that there's a few nukat, a few points that I wanted to add that I didn't get to mention yesterday, right? What are those? We talked about this very briefly. We did an ishara to this, that when you spend, sometimes it is for the other person, right? You're helping somebody. Sometimes when Allah is asking us to spend, He wants to create a certain state, a certain halat in us, right? Allah is al-Kareem, and He wants us to be Kareem, right? He wants us to be Kareem, right? Any person can give when they have nothing to lose, right? A person who has $100,000 can give $50, right? No big deal, right? Sometimes when you're giving in stress, in a state where, right, it's difficult for you to give, that's when you know that this hala, this state of being Kareem, has taken root in your soul, right? Allah wants to create something in you, tathbitan li'anfusihim. That giving is so that you can be someone, right? So that you can be a generous person also. It's not just for that other person, right? And there's a poem in Farsi, which I can't say, Farsi is not that good, but secondarily, I can just translate it, and the line that's important is that spring, right, is not known by the first rose that is seen. Right? Spring is not known, is not recognized by that first rose, right? That is not the beginning of spring. Spring comes when you see those roses flowering and blooming, right? A person who is giving generously, in ease, that is not necessarily generosity. A person who is able to give in all times, at all states, when it's difficult, when it's easy, when people like him, when people don't like him, that's when that generosity takes root in that person's soul, right? That's when it becomes part of that person's nafs, right? And that's what we want to get to. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Okay. What is the etiquette of giving? Right? What is the etiquette of sadaqah, of giving zakat, of these kinds of things? And I want to talk a little bit to the younger people here, right? This is a concept that we've lost in our Islamic communities, that everything that we do has an etiquette, right? Everything that we do, it has an adab, right? It has a good way to do it, and it has a way that's not so good, right? This is not a discussion of halal and haram. This is a discussion of adab, of etiquettes, right? When we talk about giving, we see in the Holy Quran that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Ya ayyuhalladhina amalu la tubtilu sadaqatikum bil manni wal adha. قول معروف ومغفرة خير من صدقة يتبعها أذى والله غني حليم. That, O people of Iman, don't make your sadaqah batil, right? Don't make your sadaqah batil. How? By reminding people of your own generosity and by using hurtful words. It's better that you are kind and that you forgive, then you give charity and follow it up with reminders of your goodness, with difficult words, right? What does this mean? Right? What does it mean? Sometimes when we are giving something, right, we follow that up. We hold it over somebody's head, right? We think to ourselves that I did something for this person and now he owes me, right? Or we give that person something, we help them with a favor, and we expect something back, right? I give something to you and I keep reminding you over and over, remember that time I did this for you, remember the time I did that for you, right? I make a note in my mind so I can use it against you a certain day, okay? When we give like this, right, what that does to your soul is that that's going to create resentment in your soul, right? That's going to create resentment in your soul. That resentment will come back and eat your iman, right? And the verse is saying what? The verse is saying that if you are not in a position to give, if you can't give, if you know that you're going to have this state, then it's better that you don't give, right? It's better that you don't give someone something and you say, excuse me, forgive me, I'm sorry, I can't give, rather than giving something and holding it over that person's head, right? Rather than giving and making it a favor on that person that you've done, right? That's going to create that resentment between you and him. It's better in that case not to give. Okay? Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Okay. So the best way when it comes to sadaqah, the etiquette of giving sadaqah, the etiquette of helping somebody is what? That we give something, we do something for someone, and that we forget about it. Right? That we forget about it. Right? That we forget about it. Right? When you're doing things for other than Allah's sake, that's when that leads to resentment. Right? Anything I do for Allah's sake, that's not going to create resentment in my heart. Why? Because my reward is with Allah. Right? It's not with you. It's not with somebody else that I'm expecting something back. Right? Now, the question then comes, okay, how do we know we're doing it for Allah's sake? Okay, how do we know our intention is good? Right? And this is also a long discussion. This is a long discussion. But what we can say very briefly is that if you are helping someone, if you are doing something for somebody, and you don't expect any praise for that action, right? You don't expect anything back for that action, then know that you have a good niyyah. If you are doing something and you expect somebody to praise you for that, if you expect them to give you something back for that, then know that in that niyyah, doing it fi sabilillah, there's a little bit of a problem there. Right? There's a little bit of a problem. Okay? Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. How is it that we can give? Right? How is it that we can give even if we don't have much? Right? And this is sometimes for our youth, for our teenagers, right? For people who just started earning, for people who are not financially stable, right? How is it, what can we do? Right? Okay. The scholars say here that when it comes to giving and spirituality, what matters is the act, not the amount. Right? What matters is that you're giving something. Right? What matters is that you are giving $5, $10, $15, $20, right? Not that a person opens his checkbook and is able to give away half of his wealth necessarily. No. Right? The effect of doing sadaqah, of sharing, isn't dependent on the amount. Right? And what is the proof for this? The proof for this is the story we have of Imam Hassan and Imam Hussein, alayhi salam, that when they were sick, right, their parents, Amir al-Mu'mineen and Hazrat Fatima al-Zahra, right? They said that if these two children of ours recover, we will fast for 3 days. Right? After they recovered, the parents went ahead and fasted for 3 days. Each day, after Imam Ali and Hazrat Fatima prepared the food for their children and themselves to open their fast, a different person comes to their door. The first day, a miskin comes, right? A person who has nothing, right? And they give them their food and say, here, take this food, we don't need it, we'll have our fast with water. The second day as they fast, right, a yatim comes, an orphan comes, and they say, here, yatim, you have this food, we don't need it, we'll open our fast with water. The third day, a captive comes, and they say, here, you captive, you have this food, we'll open our fast with water. Right? This sacrifice was so grand. Why? Because it wasn't the amount that they were giving. Right? They were giving 3 nights of food. Anyone can give 3 nights of food, right? This center can give 3 nights of food. Organizations give much more than that, right? It wasn't the amount of food that we're giving. It was the niyyah behind which they gave, right? It was the sincerity with which they gave, such that their act was so great that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reveals entire verses of Quran saying what? وَيُطْعِمُونَ تَعَامَ عَلَى حُبِّهِ مِسْكِينًا وَيَتِيمًا وَأَسِيرًا لا نريد منكم جزاء إنما نطعمكم لوجه الله لا نريد منكم جزاء ولا شكورا اللهم صل على محمد وعلى محمد. Right? Their sacrifice was so great that the entire verses of Quran were revealed for this small action. Right? So what does that show us? It shows that when we're giving, it's not about the quantity, it's about the quality of our giving, right? And so we have a hadith that's brought in Majma al-Bayan, right? Hadith brought in Majma al-Bayan, which says that if a beggar comes to you, right? And sometimes we see this in our communities, or if you've lived abroad in like India, Pakistan, Iran, sometimes if a beggar comes to people, they're treated very harshly, right? But there's a lot of them, number one, and they always want something, right? So people say like, okay, go, we can't talk to you, right? The hadith of the Prophet says what? That if there is a beggar, if there is a needy person coming to you, wait until he's done asking. Don't cut him off, right? Treat him with softness. Treat him with dignity. and either give him something small or respond beautifully to him if you can't give him anything. Why? Because it's possible that Allah has sent that angel to you. He has sent an angel in the form of a human to see how you are going to treat him. Right? Don't cut this person off, right? Don't treat him without any dignity. Say something kind to him or give him something small. Right? It's possible that Allah has sent an angel in the form of a human to see how you react. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Okay, so this was all just some continued points about sadaqah, zakat, infaq, etc. And now I want to move on to a new topic regarding iman. Right? Regarding iman. Right? Questions I want to answer are, is iman an off and on switch, or is it capable of increase or decrease? Right? Number two, how is it that somebody's iman can increase with the Holy Quran? And number three, how can we improve our relationship with the Holy Quran? Right? What is it that we can do? What are some practical tips we can take to improve our relationship with the Holy Quran? Okay, so question number one, right? What is our iman? Right? Are we either mu'min or not mu'min? Right? Or are we something in between? Right? Some people think of iman as either in or out. You're either in iman or you're out of iman. Right? And the reality is something different. The reality is that iman is a gradated reality. Right? It's a gradated reality. That means is that there are levels to iman. Right? What is the proof of this? وَإِذَا تُلِيَتْ عَلَيْهِمْ آيَاتُهُ زَادَتْهُمْ إِيمَانًا. When the verses of Quran are recited for people who are mu'min, it increases them in iman. Right? It's capable of increase. When we speak of something increasing or decreasing, that means that that thing has levels. Right? If you talk about the volume on your remote, increasing or decreasing, that's because there are levels to that volume. It's not on or off. Right? Similarly, with our iman, there are levels. Right? We see in Surah Al-Anfal, أُولَٰئِكَ هُمُ الْمُؤْمِنُونَ حَقًّا لَهُمْ دَرَجَاتٌ عِنْدَ رَبِّهِمْ. That those people are the real mu'mins, and they have darajat amongst their Lord. They have levels amongst their Lord. Right? They have levels amongst their Lord. Okay, one way we can understand this is what? Another example we can bring is what? That in the Surah Al-Fatiha, which we read every day, what do we say? اهدنا الصراط المستقيم. Okay? Some people have this objection that if you're saying اهدنا الصراط المستقيم, why are we saying that? Because aren't we already on the right path? Right? Aren't we already on the right path? Right? If we're Shia, if we're mu'min, aren't we already on the right path? In fact, put us aside, what about the Ahlul Bayt? Why is it that the Prophet, why is it that Amir al-Mu'mineen is saying اهدنا الصراط المستقيم? If we're not on the right path, surely he is on the right path. Okay, the way to understand that is to say that iman and faith is a gradated reality. Right? There are levels in this path. There are levels in this path to perfection, to infinity. There's infinite levels. We may be down here, Amir al-Mu'mineen is up there, in the sky. Right? But he still has to say اهدنا الصراط المستقيم. صلوا على محمد وعلى محمد. So we've said that iman is not stagnant, right? It's not a stagnant pool of water that just sits there, right? It's something that is capable of increase, capable of decrease. Right? It's not on again, off again. But how is it that that iman grows, right? How is it that iman grows, or how is it that iman decreases? Right? That goes back to the decisions we make in our lives. Okay? That goes back to the decisions we make in our lives. That goes back to the people we choose to surround ourselves with, the things we give attention to in our schedules. We talked about this a little bit when we talked about Fajr. Right? When we talked about waking up for Salatul Fajr, if somebody is giving attention to it, right, that is going to have an effect on their iman. If they say, I'm going to sleep early so that I can wake up for this prayer, that has an effect. Right? If I'm going to give this person something, even though it's hard for me, that has an effect. Right? Even the shows we watch, right, have an effect. Right? They have an effect. Right? Even the books we read, those things have an effect on our iman. Right? If we still read books. I'm not sure if we do. Right? Maybe I should say podcasts. I don't know what the latest form of consumption is, but inshallah, if we read books or if we used to read books, that has an effect, right? But the shows we watch, right? If you think of something like Netflix, right? If you think of something like Netflix, okay? Don't assume that Netflix is all good, right? Don't assume that Netflix is all good, that you can just watch anything on it and it won't affect your iman, right? More than 50%, more than 80% of what's on Netflix, these things are corrosive to your spirituality, right? Just watching these things. There's good programs, right? There's many good programs. Think about what you're taking in, right? Everything you take in has an effect on you. It has an effect on your psyche. It has an effect on your spirituality, right? So these decisions are what cause our iman to grow or to decrease. We see this phenomenon in our lives. Right? There are times, for example, when we're praying all of our prayers. There are times when we're able to do our fasting. We're able to wake up for Fajr. We're able to go to the Masjid. We have good social relationships with other mu'mineen. Everything is going well in our iman. Right? Then there's another time where we're struggling. Right? We're missing Fajr prayer. Right? We don't have any recitation of the Quran. We don't treat our parents well. We're angry with our parents. Right? We don't have good mu'mineen friends. Right? We feel distant from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We don't make an effort to go to the masjid, right? That difference that you're seeing is a difference in the state of your iman. That difference is because of the decisions that you have made in your life. Right? Partially, there could be other factors, but a large part of it is the decisions you yourself have made in your life. Right? That iman, as we've said, is that seed in your heart. Right? It's that seed that is watered with your decisions and with your actions and how you choose to spend your time. If you take care of that seed, it will become a seedling. If you take care of that seedling, it will become a plant. If you take care of that plant, it will become a tree. If you take care of that tree and it's nourished, it will become a large tree with roots that spread out 50 meters wide, 100 meters wide. And if you take care of it so much, not even the biggest tsunami, not even the biggest hurricane can come and shake that tree from its roots. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. وَإِذَا تُلِيَتْ عَلَيْهِمْ آيَاتُهُ زَادَتْهُمْ إِيمَانًا. Right? When the ayat of Quran are recited for the mu'mineen, it increases them in iman. Okay? So now the question comes that how is it that somebody's faith increases with recitation of the Quran? Right? How is it that our faith can increase just by reciting the Holy Quran? Okay? What's meant here is not just recitation. Right? What's meant here is not just opening up the Quran and reciting 10 ayats, 20 ayats, one para, one juz. Right? On one level, that recitation is good for you. Right? That recitation is excellent. May Allah bless all those children who are learning to recite, who are learning to memorize, etc. Right? And the scholars, Ayatul Akhui says that our recitation of Quran should be so much that that Quran is become now blended with your thoughts. Right? When you think about things, that Quranic idea, those Quranic ideas are now part of our thoughts. Right? So much so that one of the teachers of Hifz in Qum, I heard this myself, was that he says, one of the people who recommends or teaches people how to memorize the Quran, right? He says, of course it's good to do Hifz, that's his job. His job was to teach people how to do Hifz. But his words were that if you have a good recitation, a good program of reciting a large amount of the Quran on a daily basis, you don't need to do Hifz. You don't need to do Hifz. Why? Because you're reciting it so much that Quran is becoming blended and part of you. Right? Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. So we have this hadith in al-Kafi, right, regarding just the recitation of the Quran. Just what does it mean to recite the Quran? That it's narrated that without a doubt, a house in which the Holy Quran is recited and Allah is remembered, it is a house in which barakat will increase. The angels will visit that house. The angels will come to that house and the devils will leave that house. That house will glow for the dwellers of the heaven as a bright star glows for the people of the earth. And as for a house in which there is no recitation of the Quran happening, then its blessings, its barakat will go down. The angels will leave that house and the devils will visit that house. Okay? This is just at a basic level reciting the Quran. Right? Reciting the Holy Quran. Now on another level, our faith increases not just through what, but through tadabbur, through reflection, through research, and through understanding. Right? أَفَلَا يَتَدَبُّرُونَ الْقُرْآنَ أَمْ عَلَى قُلُوبِهِمْ أَقْفَالُهَا. Right? Do they not reflect on the Quran, or are there locks on their hearts? Are there locks on their hearts? Right? And to explore this idea further, we can look at another verse. Surah Al-Baqarah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, الَّذِينَ آتَيْنَاهُمُ الْكِتَابَ يَتْلُونَهُ حَقَّ تِلَاوَتِهِ أُولَٰئِكَ يُؤْمِنُونَ بِهِ. Please recite a salawat. يَتْلُونَهُ حَقَّ تِلَاوَتِهِ. They recite the Quran, they give the Quran the haqq of its own tilawat. They give it the right of its tilawat, the haqq of its tilawat. Right? What is the haqq of the tilawat of the Holy Quran? Okay, so Imam Sadiq has asked about this. Some people say, Allahumma salli ala Muhammad. Those people who give tilawat its haqq are who? Right? Imam Sadiq says what? That those who recite the ayat with precision, who understand the realities behind the Quran, who act on what the laws of the Quran are, who are hopeful of its promises, who are scared of its threats, who take lessons, who take ibrat from the stories of the Quran, who carry out its commands and who accept its limits. This is haqqa tilawatihi. Right? Then Imam Sadiq says that what is not meant by this verse is just memorizing the ayat of the Quran, nor just reading the letters of the Quran, nor just reciting its surahs, nor memorizing the various ajza. The people who have memorized the letters of the Quran, though they have lost the limits of the Quran. They have lost the reality of the Quran. What is meant by this ayah is those who think on the Quran, those who reflect on the Quran, and those who act on its teachings. Right? Those are the people who have given tilawat its haqq. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. So now how is it that we can take this benefit from the Holy Quran? Right? How is it that we can take this benefit if this Quran was revealed 1400 years ago in a different time and a different place? Right? Under different circumstances, the world looked very different, right? Then than it did now. And in fact, the world looks different now than it did 20 years ago. Probably will look very different 20 years from now. What is this benefit that we can take from the Holy Quran? Right? If it was revealed at a different time and at a different place, right, then what can we do? So someone asks this question to Imam Baqir, and he says what? He says that the Quran is living and the Quran will not die. Right? The Quran is living and it won't die. If a verse were to die, if a verse was revealed about someone and it was to die with the death of that person, right, then the Quran would have definitely died. Rather, the Quran applies now just as it did to those people about whom it was revealed, about whom have passed away. Right? It applies now just as much. Certainly the Quran lives, it is existent today just as the day and night are existent. Just as the sun and the moon are existent today, so too the Quran is existent today. It will exist for the last of us as it existed for the first of us. Okay, so then someone says to Imam Sadiq, okay, what is the example of this idea you're giving us? That the Quran is eternal, that the ideas of the Quran apply that time, but they also apply today. What is the example of this? So Imam Sadiq says, take this verse, وَالَّذِينَ يَسِلُونَ مَا أَمَرَ اللَّهُ بِهِ أَن يُوصَلَ. Right? It says that those who connect those things that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wanted them to connect. Those who join together those things that Allah wants them to join together. Right? What does this verse mean? Imam Sadiq says this verse is referring to us. He said this verse is referring to the Ahlul Bayt and the family of the Ahlul Bayt. Right? That you connect yourself, right, to the Ahlul Bayt. But that verse is also referring to your own family. Right? It's referring to the Ahlul Bayt, but it's also referring to your own family. Don't be of those people who say that the Quran is only referring to one thing. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. So then how can we take this to a practical level? Right? Okay, now you're saying that the Quran is a living book. It has living realities. The truths it's saying are true today just like they were true 1400 years ago. Just like they were true 500 years ago. Right? If it is living for me today, then in what way is it living and how can I take that benefit from it? Right? There are certain verses of the Holy Quran which are muhkamat, right? Which are clear in their import. Right? Which are very clear. Inna Allaha yuhibbul muhsinin. Allah loves those who do good deeds to others. Inna Allaha ma'as sabirin. Right? If you are sabir, then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is with you. Right? These are the muhkamat of the Holy Quran. There's other verses by muhkamat, I mean those verses that are clear. Right? Those verses that you don't need any interpretation to understand the message behind them. Right? Allah loves those who do good. Right? That's not difficult to understand for anybody. There are other verses which are mutashabihat, right? Which are confusing in their import. For those verses, you need to refer to somebody else or a tafsir to try to understand what those verses mean. Okay? But even then, from these verses, we can take benefit. On what level? On the benefit of reflection. We don't want to engage in tafsir of the Holy Quran without expertise. But if you are just reflecting on the Quran and saying, for example, that this story, for example, applies to my life in this way, I think. Right? This story, I believe, is saying this. And this is how it makes sense in my life. Okay, that's perfectly okay. As long as you're not making an attribution and saying, this is what definitely the Quran is saying. Right? The way I've understood it is definitely what the Quran is saying. No, at the level of reflection, you are reflecting on how this book applies to your own life. Okay? Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Okay, so الَّذِينَ إِذَا تُلِيَتْ عَلَيْهِمْ آيَاتُهُ زَادَتْهُمْ إِيمَانًا. That when this book is recited to them, it increases them in iman. The mu'mineen are increased in iman. What we mean by that is not just the physical tilawat, it is taking the reality of the Quran. Right? It is reflecting and trying to bring that Quran into your own life. Okay, so how can we do that then? Right? How can we do that? We talked about this idea of muhkam and mutashabih and how we can take benefit there. Right? What other points can we keep in mind? Okay, number one, the Quran, when we're reading the Quran, it's not like reading a newspaper. Right? It's not like reading a newspaper. It's not like reading a magazine. If you pick up a magazine, you're just reading it to get information. Right? You're reading it to get information. When you're reading the Quran, your niyyah is such that you're reading it to get understanding, to get ma'rifah of how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created the universe. Right? About right and wrong, about stories of the past. Right? To get that deep understanding. Right? So the way you're approaching the Quran, if you want to take benefit from the Quran, is not just to sit down and open it like another book and say, okay, just like I've read these other books, I'm going to sit down and read the Quran now. No, it doesn't work like that. It doesn't work like that, right? Your niyyah, the way you're approaching it, what you're seeking is different, right? The book is not just a book of information, right? And if it was a book of information, right, then all the stories of the past would have been present in there, right? This is a very beautiful point. That if it was just about information, then why is it that with some of the stories of the Anbiya mentioned in the Quran, why are they not complete? Why is it that we just have certain segments of the lives of the Anbiya mentioned in the Quran, but not the entirety of their lives, not even the prophets, right? Not the entirety of Hazrat Musa's life, not the entirety of Isa's life, not the entirety of the other Anbiya. It's because it's not a book that is trying to give you information about their lives. It's trying to teach you a lesson that you can take from their lives. And there's very different things, right? To take that lesson, you don't need to know all the details of that person's life, right? You need to know those stories that are important, that have relevance for you today. Okay. Number two, right? Second point, when benefiting from the Holy Quran. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Alif Lam Mim. Dhalikal Kitabu La Rayba Fih Hudan Lil Muttaqin. This is also very important. The Quran is described as a book that is a huda, that is a guidance for those who have taqwa. Right? For those who have taqwa. Not everyone can open the Quran and take benefit from it. Right? Sometimes you see non-Muslims opening this book, and sometimes even Muslims open it and say that this book is confusing, I don't understand it, I can't take benefit from it. Okay? It's a hudan lil muttaqin. Right? It's not hudan lil nas. Right? It's not hudan for everybody on every level. Right? There has to be some level of taqwa in order for you to take benefit from this book. If that taqwa isn't there, you can't benefit from that book. If you don't have some baseline of observance, some baseline of wanting to do what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants you to do, you won't take benefit from this book. Okay? Point number 3. Right? Having a program of recitation of the Holy Quran. And the teachers of spirituality say that this is important. Right? Of all the mustahabaks, of all the things you can do in your life that are mustahab, right? We know we can go to the Masjid, we go for dua kumail, we read certain ziyarat, we do certain things in our home, we eat a certain way, right? There's so many mustahabat, mashallah, to like infinity, right? But those teachers of spirituality, almost all of them that I've heard, the ones that I've heard have said that in your life there should be a program of recitation of the Holy Quran. Right? This is one of the foundational building blocks in spirituality. Right? After prayer, after your wajibat, if you have a program to recite the Holy Quran every day. Right? There's different riwayat about how many ayat should we recite. Some say 50, right? Some say 10, some say even less than that. Right? The scholars say if you can recite 20 ayat a day, that's great. If you can start with that. If you can't, then recite 10 ayat. 10 ayat. Out of those 10 ayat, try to take one ayah, right? Take the meaning of that ayah, think about it, and apply that ayah in your life. Right? Each day take one ayah. Right? A simple ayah, and try to see how this applies in my life, and think about that ayah as you go about the day. Right? Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. It's difficult to read the Quran from cover to cover, right? It's very difficult to read the Quran from cover to cover, right? And to get a lot out of it, okay? There are books now in the English language that are coming out that can help us, right? And I wanted to share some recommendations with you, right, on that. The translations of the Holy Quran that we can read, right, the best ones that I've seen are by Ali Quli Qurai and a fellow by the name of Arbery. Right? Ali Quli Qurai and Arbery. If you need a translation, try to get one of these translations. Right? Try to get one of these. Right? There are tafsir that have been written in the English language. Right? Decent tafsir, not amazing ones. One of them is called An Enlightening Commentary into the Holy Quran. Right? Where is it available? It's available on the website Al-Islam. If you go there and type in An Enlightening Commentary into the Holy Quran, you will find this. Right? Okay, and that's a full commentary. There are other more topical commentaries being written as we speak. Right? Inshallah, within the next 5 years, within the next 7 years, we'll have even better commentaries of the Holy Quran in English. Right? On top of that, there are texts that go through certain aspects of the Quran in a very systemized manner. What do I mean by that? There's a book by the name of God's Emissaries. Okay, speaking to my younger brothers here. God's Emissaries is a book by Sheikh Rizwan Arastu, where he has gone through all the stories of the prophets. He has looked at all the ayat of the Holy Quran pertaining to each prophet. He has looked at the riwayat pertaining to each prophet, and he has put them together in a chronological story. Right? In a chronological story, such that if you were to read it, it reads like a novel of that person's life. When you read this, you get a much better appreciation of what was the story of Hazrat Musa. What was the story of Hazrat Musa? Right? When you read it, you get the idea of what was the story of Hazrat Nuh, because you're not reading snippets from different parts of the Quran. So for people who are looking to build that familiarity, I would recommend starting with these kinds of books. Right? Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Inshallah, we'd like to take a few moments to remember the Aza, the Masa'ib of Aba Abdullah, family of Aba Abdullah alayhi salam. And just want to make a note here as we move forward that sometimes it's difficult for us to bring our hearts to cry. Sometimes we have a connection with a certain personality, and sometimes we don't have a connection with another personality. Right? Sometimes it's difficult to cry because that emotion isn't there for one reason. Sometimes we're stressed. There could be many factors why those tears don't come to our hearts, right? And that's okay. Right? That's okay. It doesn't mean that we're not doing the Aza of Aba Abdullah. Just by sitting here and remembering, we are doing the Aza of Aba Abdullah. Right? But the etiquette of it is that even if you don't cry, we should put our heads down and try to feel something. Right? Try to connect with Aba Abdullah and the story that is being told in your heart. Right? If you connect, if you feel something, then inshallah when those conditions are right, those tears will come. Right? But the first stage is putting our heads down, closing our eyes, and trying to make that connection. Right? Sallallahu alayka ya Aba Abdullah. صلى الله عليك يا ابن رسول الله وعلى الأرواح التي حلت بفنائك عليك مني جميعا سلام الله أبدا ما بقيت وبقي الليل والنهار ولا جعله الله آخر العهد مني لزيارتكم السلام على الحسين وعلى علي بن الحسين وعلى أولاد الحسين وعلى أصحاب الحسين بأبي أنت وأمي يا أبا عبد الله. Oh Allah, we will give our fathers and our mothers for you. Oh Aba Abdullah, we would give our families for you. Tonight we want to begin talking a little bit about the ashab of Imam Hussein. And before we even get to the family members and the Mazlumiyat that they faced, what about those people that were with Imam Hussein when he left from Medina without looking back? The first Shaheed in Karbala that we'd like to talk about is Hur ibn Yazid al-Riyahi. When we talk about ashab, we talk about them as if these people were infallible, right? When we talk about the family, but Hur was somebody like you and I. Hur was somebody who made mistakes, and at the last moment, he gained salvation. And why is this inspiring? Because that is you and me, brothers. That is you and me. We are not Ali Akbar, we are not al-Asr, we are Hur. Sometimes we find in our lives we have sinned, we have disobeyed, we have stopped praying, right? We have given up hope on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but Hur is here to say that no, there is still hope for you. For you to save your soul, there is still hope. What saves Hur on this day is his love for one lady. His love for Fatima Zahra is what brings Hur from the camp of Yazid to the camp of Hussein. And that is the secret to this, brothers and sisters, that when your spirituality is at a rock bottom, when you have no one else to connect to, when you have nowhere to go, then make tawassul to that mother of the Shaheed of Karbala. Make tawassul, and that lady won't disappoint you. And my heart says today that to Imam Hussein, O Imam Hussein, Hur was the one who stopped you from moving towards Kufa. He was the one who said you can't go back to Medina. Hur was the one that was the reason that made your children cry on that day. Hur was the one why your children said, Al-Atash, Al-Atash, give us some water. Hur was the one who grabbed the reins of your horse, Hussein. But when he came to you, O Hussein, you didn't disappoint Hur. He came and said, Mawla, can I be forgiven? And you said, yes, you are forgiven, Hur. I say to Imam Hussein, with us as sinners who have nothing else, who love you, can we also be forgiven like Hur? As Imam Hussein moves on his way to Kufa, Ubaidullah ibn Ziyad finds out that Hussein is heading towards Kufa, so he sets a curfew in Kufa and says nobody can come in and out. He tells Hur to patrol the outskirts of Kufa with thousands of men. When you find Hussein, arrest him and stop him. As Hussein is moving in this direction, eventually he comes to an oasis where there is water. And he tells Hazrat Abbas that, Abbas, go get some water for our camp. All these bags you see, fill them with water. So the water in the camp of Hussein is filled to its max. This qafila of 72 people eventually meets the army of Hur. And at this point, the story is that Hur's army has run out of water. Imam Hussein, in his heart, he sees a group of thirsty men. He sees a group of thirsty women. He sees a group of thirsty children, and he takes the water from his own family and says, feed these people. Give them water. One of the soldiers, there's a narration that one of the soldiers in Hur's army says that I was given a water bag, but by that point I was so weak I couldn't even open that bag to drink it. I see that water bag in front of me, but I have no energy to open this bag. Suddenly I see a shade over me. Who was this shade? It is the son of Zahra, who has come and bent down to open this bag for you. The son of Zahra takes this bag and he holds this man's head open and he feeds him with his own hand. He gives him water on his own hand. We say to this man, this mal'oon, that when Hussein was feeding you on the day of Ashura, when the children of Hussein were crying, did you not remember this moment when Hussein himself was giving you water? The army quenches the thirst, and the time for prayer has come. The army of Hussein prays behind, the army of Hur prays behind the army of Hussein. Imam Hussein says, let's move from here. They mount their horses and they say, let's go towards Kufa. I have been commanded, Hur says, I have been commanded to stop you from going to Kufa. Mazlum Hussein says, in that case, then I will go back to the town of my Jad, Rasulullah. Let me go back to Medina. Hur says, I have been commanded to stop you also from going to Medina. Imam Hussein turns his horses and says, I am going to Medina. And at this point, Hur grabs the rein of Hussein's horse and says, you are not going anywhere. And when Hussein sees this, he says, Ya Hur thaqulat qawmuka. May your mother mourn for you, Hur. How dare you hold this horse of mine? When Hur hears this, he steps back. And look at how the presence of Fatima plays in here. Hur says, Hussein, if your mother was anybody else, I would have said the same thing to you. But when your mother is that lady of light, that lady of purity, that lady whose ribs were crushed, that lady who had no zulm on her, that lady who was buried in the night without anyone else present, that lady whose grave we don't know where it is because of how Muslim she was, then how can I say anything to you when your mother was Hazrat Zahra? Go, Hussein, we are going to follow you. Hussein's army heads towards the desert and Hur's army follows him. On the second day of Muharram, they stop at Karbala. And Umar ibn Sa'ad's army takes over the command. And when the camp is set up, we know that on the seventh day, the water begins to run out for the children of al-Hussein. The children began crying, Ammu Abbas, al-Atash, we have no water. Our lips are dry, our throat is running dry, we cannot speak. The adults say, here children, you have some of our water, we will be thirsty. The day of Ashura comes, on the 10th of Muharram, the azan is said by Hazrat Ali al-Akbar. The Fajr prayer is recited. A person sees Hur and says, "Oh Hur, if anyone would have asked you, I would have said, you are the bravest person in this army. Why do you look so nervous this morning? When we are about to go to battle, why is it that you are walking from side to side, pacing here and here?" He says, "Oh companion, I find myself between Jannah and Jahannam right now." "Oh Hur, what do you mean by this? What do you mean by this?" Hur says, do you hear those children from the camp of Hussein? Do you hear any sounds? The man says, "Yes, I do hear some sounds." "What are they saying?" The man says, "These children are saying, al-atash, al-atash, that thirst is killing us." Hur said, "The reason I found myself between heaven and hell was because I was the reason these children don't have any water today. These children are not my children. Oh man, these children are not your children. These children are the children of Zahra. They're crying al-atash because of me. When that mother of Hussein comes to me, what answer do I have to her?" Hussein makes a decision and he says, "I am going to go towards the camp of Hussein." Imam Hussein sees this man and says, "Abbas, we have a guest approaching. Go out and receive this guest." Hur goes and he gets off from his horse. And he says that to his companion that I am not going to go before Imam al-Hussein like this. Tie my hands so that I can go before Hussein. Put a blindfold on my eyes so that I can go before Hussein. When they reach Abu Abdullah, he says, my Mawla, your slave is before you." Hur falls to the feet of Hussein and says, "I am Hur ibn Yazid al-Riyahi. I am the one, O Mawla, that stopped you from going back to that town where your grandfather was. I'm the one who stopped you from going to that town where people were ready to receive you. I am the one that is the reason your children are saying, we are thirsty, give us some water, we can't withstand this anymore. Abu Abdullah, is there any chance that you can forgive me?" "Oh Hur, I have forgiven you." "Oh Abu Abdullah, there's one thing I want. There's one thing I want. Is there any way I can speak to the women of your camp, Abu Abdullah? The ladies in your camp, I would like to speak to them." Hussein takes Hur towards the women of the camp, and Hur stands outside their tent and says, "O ladies of the family of the Prophet, it is I, Hur ibn Yazid al-Riyahi. The reason your children are crying, the reason your children have not drank anything is me. The reason there is this army on all sides of thousands of people holding arrows is because of me. The reason you could not go back to the town of your mother is me. O woman, Abu Abdullah has forgiven me. Will you forgive her as well?" The woman heard this and began to cry. Hazrat Fidda says, "O Hur, we have forgiven you." Hur says, "I won't leave. When the day of judgment comes, I would like to know, O ladies, that will you complain about me to Hazrat Zahra? Will you complain about me to Hazrat Zahra? By Allah, I cannot leave here until you tell me that you won't complain about me to Hazrat Zahra." The ladies say, "Go Hur, we won't complain about you to Hazrat Zahra." Hur says, "Let me be the first one to go to battle. Let me, the one who's caused this, be the first one to give my life." Hur goes into battle on the day of Ashura and he kills 40 people from the army of Yazid. Towards the end of the battle, Hur falls down and he calls out for his master. He says, "Assalamu alayka ya Aba Abdullah." This is the first body that Hussein is going to see. Hussein places Hur's face on his lap, this face which has sand, which has blood. The son of Zahra wipes the blood from Hur's face. He sees blood gushing from this forehead, and he takes a handkerchief out. He says, "Hur, this handkerchief was made by my mother, Hazrat Zahra. He ties that handkerchief onto Hur's forehead. He says, Hur, your mother has named you the right way. Oh, Hur, you are free in this life. Hur, you are free in the next life. The Arbab of Azza say that before Hur goes out to battle, before he left for battle, he also had a son. He had a son that he wanted to send to jihad. His son, this Muslim son of Hazrat Hur, goes out and fights. This son was the same age as Ali al-Akbar. When this son falls down in the Maidan, Hur is sitting next to Hussein. This son, who is the age of Ali Akbar, he calls out, Assalamu alayka ya abati. My father, can you please come to me? I have fallen down, can you help me, O Baba? Hur gets up and says, let me go help my son. Hussein grabs Hur and pulls him back. He says, Hur, don't you know that the father doesn't go bring the mayat of his own son back to the camp? Hur, you don't have the patience to do this, Hur. Wait here, Hur. Hussein will go bring the body of your young boy. Hussein will go bring the body of your son, Hur. We will ask Hussein, oh Hussein, you are bringing the body of Hur. After you say Khuda Hafiz to Ali al-Akbar, Ali al-Akbar dies in the battlefield. Who is it other than you, Hussein, who has to go get that body? Who is going to bring the body, the lash of Ali Akbar, back to the tent? Is there anyone left other than you, Hussein? When that boy, that Muslim infant who had nothing to do with this, when that arrow goes through that boy's neck, when the blood gushes up from his neck, when you're holding that baby in your arms, when he's drenched in blood, when that body becomes lifeless, who is it that's going to take that dead body back to the camp of the ladies? Who is it that's going to take him to Zainab? Who is going to show that body to Kulsum? Who will take him to the mother of that body, Rubab, and say, Rubab, look at what these people have done to our baby. Va Husayna, va Mazluma, va Ghariba. وَسَيَعْلَمُ الَّذِينَ ظَلَمُوا أَيَّ مُنْقَلِبٍ يَنْقَلِبُونَ. Ya Allah, بحق Muhammad, بحق Ali, بحق Fatima, بحق Hassan, بحق Hussein, بحق جميع شهداء Karbala. We ask you, by the right of this tragedy, by the right of these people who have given their lives, for all these mu'mineen across the world who are suffering from oppression, please lift that oppression. For all the mu'mineen in this room who are suffering from disease, suffering from disability, suffering from any sort of hardship, please give them relief quickly and completely. For all those mu'mineen who have difficulties in their marriages, all those mu'mineen who have difficulties with their children, all those mu'mineen who have difficulties with their parents, with their family members, with their sisters, with their brothers, please reconcile their hearts and bring them back together. وَالْآخِرُ دَعْوَانَا أَنِ الْحَمْدُ لِلَّهِ رَبِّ الْعَالَمِينَ. Matam Hussein.
Went to meet the enemy, but found a leader in his prayer. Or found water for his horses, he found kindness in Hussein. Worry began to grow within. Hussein refused to yield. He would stand against oppression, and that stand would get him killed. He would stand against oppression, and that stand would get him killed. By the call of Hussein, Hur was freed, Hur was freed. For the love of Fatima, Hur was freed, Hur was freed. By the call of Hussein, for the love of Fatima, The bravest of Kuffar feared nothing in this world. But when his orders came, he found he could not heed their words. How could he war against his own prophet's progeny? He was visibly in fear of retribution from his Lord. He was visibly in fear of retribution from his Lord. By the call of Hussein, for the love of Fatima. By the call of Hussein, for the love of Fatima. Curtain lifted from his eyes, Hur saw hell was straight ahead. Others feared to change their course, he chose another path instead. Should he be caught, should he be burned, he wouldn't turn away. Right is right and wrong is wrong, and what is right is with Hussein. Right is right and wrong is wrong, and what is right is with Hussein. By the call of Hussein, for the love of Fatima. By the call of Hussein, for the love of Fatima. At the call of Hussein, when he made a plea for aid, Hur saw his final chance and he chased it unafraid. With penitence his strength and forgiveness his reward, he rode toward his death and he raised his mighty sword. He rode toward his death and he raised his mighty sword. By the call of Hussein, for the love of Fatima. By the call of Hussein, for the love of Fatima. This world and all its lies, they could never make him sway. When he saw Hussein in need, he threw his very life away. Hussein then said to him, as his body lay there slain, "Oh, your mother named you well, for freedom you have attained. Oh, your mother named you well, for freedom you have attained." By the call of Hussein, for the love of Fatima. By the call of Hussein, for the love of Fatima. O Mahdi, son of Hassan, hasten, hasten your return. O Mahdi, son of Hassan, hasten, hasten your return. O Mahdi, son of Hassan, prepare our hearts, prepare our souls, prepare our bodies and our minds, so we may walk the narrow path, so we may serve you when it's time. Ya Hujjat ibn al-Hasan, ajil ala dhuhurik. Ya Hujjat ibn al-Hasan, ajil ala dhuhurik. Ya Hujjat ibn al-Hasan, ajil ala dhuhurik. Salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
توجه الزيارة. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. السلام عليك يا نبي الله يا رسول الله. السلام عليك يا خديجة الكبرى أم المؤمنين. السلام عليك يا فاطمة الزهراء سيدة نساء العالمين. السلام عليك يا أمير المؤمنين يا علي بن أبي طالب. السلام عليك يا حسن بن علي المجتبى. السلام عليك يا حسين بن علي الشهيد بكربلاء. السلام عليك يا علي بن الحسين زين العابدين. السلام عليك يا محمد بن علي الباقر. السلام عليك يا جعفر بن محمد الصادق. السلام عليك يا موسى بن جعفر الكاظم. السلام عليك يا علي بن موسى الرضا المرتضى. السلام عليك يا محمد بن علي الجواد. السلام عليك يا علي بن محمد الحادي. السلام عليك يا حسن بن علي العسكري. السلام عليك يا حجات يا صاحب العصر والزمان. الأمان 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 من فتنة الزمان. السلام عليك يا شريك القرآن. السلام عليك يا كعبة الإيمان. السلام عليك يا إمامنا وإمام الإنس والجان. السلام عليكم جميعا ورحمة الله وبركاته.